Hi everyone, today I'm going to do a reading on the UK. Although I always ask for you to vote if you want a reading on the UK. Obviously I know that I've got some loyal subscribers, so even though I'm not getting the feedback, I'm doing this reading. I actually find reading on the UK makes me angry. I'm not just talking about sad, anger, and very depleting. There's such a dark energy, and I don't mean the public. There's a dark energy, and I don't want to see it casted over. It's like within. It's like, and it makes me ill. Like when I did the reading for the, about not having sun in the UK. Oh, that channeling was quite long, and I was going to record it and no one really voted, and I was like, nah, I'm just going to get more angry after what I've already got angry with. But I've seen recent headlines that A.Raynor has resigned. Now in my last one, in my global predictions, and when I first read on Kier, I said, listen, there's going to be loads of scandals coming up. And I said in my last one and the global predictions, look out for September in terms of scandals around the UK Gov. I also sometimes mention certain lines about the UK Gov in the royal readings. When I tap into the royal readings, it's not as dark, which is strange because they're part of the UK. But these are dark. But this is going to be, obviously we have to be careful on what we say. So understand that I think it's becoming like a communism. Maybe we can say North Korea. And I have just seen that they have appointed a lady called Shabana Mahmood. So I presume this lady is a British citizen, probably all her life, and a purpose, I didn't look it up, and Asian Muslim maybe. I don't know if it's the right time to appoint someone like that. Probably not, because would they be given a fair chance given everything? What called me to this is I'm going to also talk about A.Raynor, but I'm also going to talk about some information I dug up. And I also want to make a prediction that the third week, if you've just seen the global predictions on the globe for economy, tech, etc., again from the 20th of September to the first week of October, and it will escalate even more. The UK is not going to be in a good situation. And you're probably saying, well, it's not in a good situation. It's going to be in a worse. It's going to be bad. There's something bad, a bad situation. And I mentioned the 13th, the protest. I didn't know there was a protest on the 13th, but I said in September there's going to be some kind of protest that's going to get out of hand. And I understand there's going to be a protest on the 13th. Interestingly enough, I thought today when I was like, I'll do a reading on the UK with what information I've also found, I thought, let me look up the date of the 13th where the moon is. I was like, I bet it's going to be, I just felt it was going to be either Aquarius or Gemini, and it's Gemini. So expect, a lot of not quiet protests. And I don't necessarily mean it's with Gemini that it's aggressive, but people are going to speak. I don't want to tap into that day because I feel like it's going to be heart-wrenching. So even recently I've seen a man that was in a wheelchair. Well, I heard today a man was in a wheelchair holding Palestinian flag for the Palestinian children, and he was beaten up or something. So, and I think even me saying this is going to trigger some people because they're going to be like, we don't want what's happening anymore. But I think we need to look at, this video is not going to be against race or religion. And it's definitely not against the UK opening up to a certain amount for war-stricken countries like Gaza that are dire, the population is becoming extinct. It's worse than Ukraine. So like at the very last resorts, basically. But for the main dominant, I think even gender, but dominance that's entering the UK for benefits is where the problem lies. And also on that, I would like to add, I've indicated it, I believe also in reverse, CRMH needs investigating in terms of what it's trying to get from its citizens and claims. Other than that, so my prediction is that, and I'll read on it again, and I'm going to read on the future, the UK, but not to make these long, I'm covering certain things in this one. So I think, I think also France is, I don't know anything about France, but France was kept coming in, so I don't know if Kier's friend of Macron, or Kier or France might be going into civil war, because I feel England, we are heading in that situation. There's definitely, look for the 20th, 21st onwards, the UK. So let me just pull some cards from the 20th onwards September for the UK, because it's going to be the UK is going to be in a bad situation. The last cards, I want 3 to see if I get my confirmation. I've got it. So the cards I get are the following. I've got this, which I've always got for the government. It was some cards that I remember came up for Kier that, analyzes a long-term kind of strategy that he was looking at. Movement is taking too much time. So much time, and people are, this is in a challenging situation. It didn't come up upright, but it didn't also come out in reverse, so it was left for me to choose. And there's a particular word that I want to say with this, but basically there's a confusion on the loss of the country and what is happening, and the challenge is nothing's getting moving, yet we're in a dire situation where this tower needs to be upright to take emergency. And I'm again, Spirit is bringing the UK royal family intervention, and I can't get away that I think the Queen in the background would have pulled up, like the Prime Minister, or said, listen, we need to meet, or when we next meet, she would have had a agenda and things that needed to be answered for. Not necessarily that you need to do this, but questions that are really going to challenge to get a right response out of. But here there's a situation where it's taking its time, and the universe is also taking its time. But there's so much confusion on what is happening within the UK. I do get my confirmation that there is going to be, it is going to be a bad situation around that time that I've mentioned. So that prediction, which is also, I've done a prediction in terms of globally from the 20th onwards. For the 5 of Cups in the challenge situation, I just want to look for a word. There's a particular word that I feel like is coming out with that. Now, there could be a younger man, right? There could be a younger man impelled to render service to whom he warrant will be connected. And this is in that confirmation. There's like a deception and artifice during the period that I said in terms of attachment to the situation, the energies that the UK is in, and so that's why it's not moving. And that just came channeled through for the Page of Cups, the Charity being my confirmation card. So let's just go to... I got a delivery. So what I wanted to say with this kind of Five of Cups is really about its refusal to accept further loss than what there is. And it's also like, although it's not a war-stricken country, it's like there are tears bleeding for the country, the citizens. And I feel that with that as well, there's a word I'm looking for, which is there's a message here of looking at the transmission and the past. So I wonder if there was a past MP who could have been hated. And the reason I say that, because it could have been Thatcher who came in and had to clean up so much, so she was hated in a way, but it was kind of the clear up that needed before she moved. Now remember, I said that in my predictions, I said that for all the government frameworks to leave and be cleared out, total ruins have to occur. Not just someone gets kicked out, like a lot of psychics predicted he'd be kicked out by December last year or even September last year. And I was not getting that. But I also think, you know, the time period which he leaves is going to be very critical. And I don't think even the next, whoever takes his place or the next government that comes in is going to be totally not politically playing an agenda. And when he leaves, there's room left for exploitation as well there. And politics, they do that. So that's what I get for our cards. And it definitely sort of aligns. Now, A.Raynor, what I understand is that she has 3 positions. And one is like home lead or home lead secretary or MP. So she's been accused of not filing like 40k tax for an apartment that she bought in Hove. And there's also something about evaluation inflation on a trust that 25% of a property that was bought via a trust that apparently she's put for her disabled son. To exchange 162k, but they're saying that the evaluation of this property is actually double of those that are in that region, so, or in that street. And so this really means that is something fishy going on, or was it really done up? Which can be really done up. You know, some of them get everything done up so the price rises. But there's still a question, right? There's also still a question on, will her son receive a lot less than her? Now, I'm not indicating that she's exploiting her son, because what she's taken, she's probably gonna use with her son anyway. So it's kind of going round, but we don't know. But has she inflated it? Maybe for the Hove deposit. And now, obviously, she's been kicked out, asked to resign, and her salary is reduced. And I don't know why Spirit is bringing me back to the guy in the wheelchair about Free Palestine. I don't know if he was beaten up, but he was also taken in or something. I don't know what that's about. I don't know the story. But what I do know is that you can say something and you can actually be tracked down and arrested and taken to a cell, you know. But there's these going on in the background, and also citizens via, who I mentioned in the beginning, getting pointed at in false accusations. So now her salary would have been reduced, and she would have had this mortgage, so the mortgage is at risk. And how's she going to afford it? Is she going to afford it? I mean, we don't know people's circumstances, but I'm sure that there's a question there, and probably that's something of investigation. I think we do need to look at, I think the big question is, will Shabana react in the best way of the UK's public in the current situation? I can say that what I was psychically getting is that whatever she says, her first words are going to be like the label that gets stuck on her head, and she won't be able to remove that for a very long period of time. So if she says something that's going to trigger people in either direction, she's going to be either hated or liked. There's not going to be like many of a percentage that are going to sit in the middle. It's going to be like, I hope. There might be a certain percentage that like, I can't see hope with what she's just said. Her first words are critical to, you know, usually we say, well, let's see what they come up with, what they do, time will tell. This is kind of like, whatever she says is taken, it sticks with her. So if I was sat with her, I'd be my advice to her is careful on what you say. And the best positioning on that is probably not to steer to one direction more than the other, and not to steer in the weighted direction, especially opposed to the other right now, because it's not going to be good for her that way. In the parliament, in the group, it might be okay, which obviously she wants to look for that, but she wants to look for outside. I get the sense that parliament's kind of like a gossipy, backbiting, bitchy kind of environment. I don't know, but that's what's coming to me. So what I do want to do is also, I did want to say that I also understood, which I didn't know, the well-being of the UK is not good, and it's not going to look good even more from that 20th September onwards. And we will see something. So with A.Raynor, I just want to ask something. Because to me, you can't tell me she didn't know what she was doing. There's something here where she actually was, there was something where she was actually felt she was tied and binded and couldn't take a different decision on something. And it's around something new, and that could be the new property. We get her son here, okay? And we get no loss. So this way there is absolutely no loss for her or for her son actually. So did she know what she was doing? Yes, but it's not, we're not seeing everything of this. We're not seeing everything of the situation or the last of everything to be said in this situation. There is a standstill in this situation, okay? There's something that is not ended here, but she did know what she's doing with a caveat. There's a caveat here. Okay, so now I think the reason I'm bringing you Y.Cooper is I think she's going to have another prediction I'm giving you is I think she's going to have, I think she's the Home Secretary, isn't she? So she's got a very important position during this time. She's going to be having a difficult period from the 20th of September. And I think she's going to be faced with some devastating event. So I feel the energy surrounds her. And I would say, like, look out from the 19th till the 25th of September, and it could be a few days after that as well. So although I'm saying 20th onwards, I feel for her, those dates are very critical. And I would look out for them. There's something very devastating around her. And when I get that, I get like the foreign minister or whatever role he has of Russia, and I don't know who he is, but it seems like there's something that lingers with him there that he could be facing that's very similar, which is a bit weird. But Yvette, it could be within her role, but also, I don't know if any of her parents are alive. The devastation could even link around something to do with that. But I do think watch out for something very devastating that occurs during that time. We might not hear of it until a bit later. Now, some of the information that I wanted to ask is obviously, will Shabana act in accordance in the UK's best interest as of now? What it needs now is probably very different to 4 years ago, and what it needs in 2 years' time. So as of now, it's in a dire situation. She's going to be juggling a few things, and it's like she needs to make the right decision. And with this, what I get basically is that she's going to be juggling between Kier and the Parliament and the outside world. There is a sense of hope that she's got in, but there's something here that Nine of Cups in reverse, the King of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles, managing Kier is a big thing, and managing the Parliament and the way they are, which is maybe why I was getting that they're probably a bit bitchy. She's got a difficult thing on her hands, you know, because it's not coming in at a time where things are easy. I think she's going to be strict to what she says. She's not going to put up with any BS of being told to do stuff. If she introduces a policy, I think she's going to do it. But so there's kind of like a truth, a loyalty. But I think there's periods where there could be imperfections or a couple of mistakes that she does because of how critical the situation is. And look at the Six of Pentacles here, tells us that she really did need to bring in a balance right now, not topsy-turvy into one side and not topsy-turvy into the weighted scale that would be further down, adding more weight. There is a hope that she does act in the best interest of the UK. She's definitely holding on to something. And she's holding on to something, she's keeping her cards a bit close, although I feel that she is going to speak, she's going to be vocal, but she's holding some cards close to her chest while she manages internally something. Obviously, she can't do everything. So on that, let's look at some of the things that I found out, because the reason I'm actually I went into look into this is because there's definitely major shifts in polarization now, and I might actually name that polarization. The UK, Kier doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even know that division, promoting division, actually causes regression in economy if he wants to take it that way. It actually, it doesn't promote progression, it promotes regression in economy. So, there's going to be more scandals coming out, okay? More cray-cray things coming up. And I think, you know, there's going to be more trouble for Labour. I think that Blair is up to something in the background. I don't know what or how. there could be something that comes around IMF, so International Money or Monetization Fund, and could that leak open international countries coming in or interrupting or getting involved? That could cause a stronger crash, and that would need an iron person to straighten out. But it's all about going into ruins to straighten things out properly, so that whoever takes the role in politics next, even though it's not going to be the cleanest politician, and by that it's not going to be the total new framework, they're going to have to prove themselves a lot longer than I'll just say this for a couple of months and then I'll do my own underhanded agenda of politics. Of the way it is, they're going to have to act in the best interest for a bit of time, a lot longer than other politicians that take over, which will straighten some of it out. I mean, I think we've realised that this is not a true Labour kind of gov. And I do want to go on to the screenshots that I got, that I looked up. So okay, Kier is going. If you're losing hope, he will be going. And I don't think it's the way you think it's going to be. So, you know, one article from the BBC I found is that Mahmoud and Starmer stopped the deportation of a Jamaican career criminal who went on to so Redrum, MURDER. This was Feb 2020. A deportation flight of 50 Jamaican criminals was governed to take off after, was, I think, grounded to take off after 170 MPs signed a letter to the then MP, which was Boris Johnson. We're talking about a pure white. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's very easy to disregard and point fingers that it's going to be, I don't know, the Muslim Asian lady that turns everything into further issues. When this was happening in 2020 and 170 MPs signed that, you're not going to tell me that there was no one white, there was no Christians, there was no one that was black, there was no one that was Muslim, there was no one that was Asian, etc. One of the MPs was Shabana Mahmood, who signed this, and the other was Keir Starmer. On that flight was Ernest Elliott, 45, a prolific offender with 17 crimes on his rap sheet, including possession of an imitation firearm. Thanks to the invitations of Mahmoud and Starmer, Elliott remained in Britain. 6 months later, he exed 35-year-old Nathan Lee Iwawo in a machete sharp blunt object in Greenwich. Elliott was jailed for 26 years, where he'll remain as British taxpayers' expense. He wasn't deported, as his lawyers used Article 8 of the Right to a Family Life. Incidentally, one of the Elliott's family, his son Nico, was jailed to 22 years for his part of a very same MURDER. Shabana Mahmood's new job as Home Secretary is deport foreign criminals. Do you think her heart will be in it? So the reason I brought that up, because I do want to level us a little bit, that we're playing with, or we're going up against people that were hidden. You know, why can't someone like this be deported? Why are we paying for them to sit, relax Daisy in a cell? And then there's also Brits that are tweeting and getting in cells. Like, I think you do the crime, you're illegal, you need to go back to your home country, do some time in UK and then deport back to your home country, never to come again. Again, if they don't have any documentation, how do you know that they're never going to come again? It's getting to the point where, why am I saying this, is because it's not safe. Where, you know, you're acting in the best interest. I don't see anything in that article, and this is why I brought it up, that would even give me a slightest thing, keep this guy in the UK, give him a chance. You know, he had a chance and he committed something. So the letter was written February 2020. And one of the lines in the letter is, can the government guarantee the safety of those individuals planned for deportation? This plane was a plane that carried these individuals especially to be deported. So what, you know, of course that plane is going to be safe to land them there. Whatever gets done then is their home country. They're not sending them to Gaza, you know, where people actually do need rescuing, and people are not likely to come and commit crimes because they'll be thankful for a piece of bread. Does the government plan to collect data regarding the safety of those who are to be removed? It's ridiculous what's written. Have each of the individuals expected to board the flight to Jamaica on the 11th of February had access to legal advice and representation? How many of the individuals expected to board the flight on Jamaica for the 11th of Feb have exhausted all their avenues and appeals? Not only is there an unacceptable risk of removing anyone with potential Windrush claim, but there has been a failure by the government to remedy the causes of the Windrush scandal. It is therefore crucial all further deportations are cancelled until lessons are learned, review is published, and its recommendations are re-implemented. We understand through leaked version of the review that it recommends revising policy towards FNOs, ending deportation for those who have arrived as children and only consider deportation for the most severe cases. Is not Xing someone not severe? And before that, you've got 17 crimes on your rap sheet. And if you don't believe me, here is the 170 MPs on there. And I've circled Shabana and Kier. So, to me, that is just a bit disgusting. I think that's what I wanted to do, is give the prediction, but I also wanted to give some facts. But Kier not knowing what he's doing, there's a lack of stability. He's going to be out. His end is getting closer, but this is going to open doors for others to exploit. And I hope whoever we get in is actually... It also gives exploitation to go too far to the other side, where even British citizens... But I want to say something that I've always seen, especially in my thing in London. I was actually, you know, I felt in London that I was treated quite badly, rudely basically. They were ruling, and I was all over London, by the dark coloured race. I'd be standing somewhere, and it's not because they thought that I was from a different country or anything, but just so rude, so entitled. And I just wonder if a white citizen were to act like that, would it be the same? It wouldn't, because you'd get called racist. But I hope you enjoyed this. I brought you some facts, we pulled some cards, and I felt it was very much needed. So we need to look out for those dates that I said, and I am going to do a further future reading. I will also look at Kier a bit more, and the UK, and possibly others that might step in time. But I did want to present that to you. I'm hoping to get this process so that you can see it. Let's see what the time is. If not, it'll be processed for the following, but let's try. Take care of yourselves, and thank you for being here. Support the channel if you like the content, and I'd love to hear your comments. Bye for now.